Welcome back to The Battery Analyst. Today we have a super exciting episode for you. We introduce a new retailer into our comparison shopping section. We test a battery that costs only 6 cents. The question we want answered is it any good? We also test our first battery from a brand that used to be synonymous with batteries, Eveready. We also introduce a new analytical framework which takes into account the differing minimum pack sizes from various brands. So let's get into it. This is the fourth episode in our AA battery high drain test series, where we apply a continuous 1/2 amp load until the voltage drops below 1 volt. This simulates a high drain application such as a motorized toy or a high-intensity flashlight. Now, let's meet the contenders. We bought all the batteries in today's test from Family Dollar, which is a major American discount store chain. It operates over 8,000 stores across the continental USA. The chain was acquired by Dollar Tree in 2015, but in 2025 it was sold to a private equity consortium. It will be interesting to see what impact the new owners have on the chain. First up, we have the cheapest battery that we've ever tested on this channel. It comes from Homeline, which is Family Dollar's house brand. It is the super heavy duty. An 8-pack of these will cost you an unbelievably low 50 cents. Or just over 6 cents per battery. There's got to be a catch, right? Well, kind of. The model name, Super Heavy Duty, is a bit of a giveaway. It usually, but not always, refers to a different battery chemistry to the alkaline batteries that we've been looking at so far. Before the mid-80s, the most common battery chemistry was called zinc carbon. Alkaline batteries were introduced commercially in the late 50s, but it took until the mid-80s for them to supplant the older chemistry in the marketplace. Although typically more expensive, the alkaline batteries became popular because they offered much greater running life, longer shelf life, and were less prone to leaks than the older chemistry. So it's going to be interesting to see how a zinc carbon battery fares in 2025. The battery package does say that these batteries are suitable for low drain devices, so they are not really suited for this high drain test. The Family Dollar website says these batteries are valid for 3 years. On the pack that we bought, the use-by date was approximately 2 years out from the date of purchase. Family Dollar does offer a no questions asked return policy for full refund or exchange within 30 days. These batteries are made in China. The next most expensive battery in this test group is another Homeline battery. This one is the Alkaline. An 8-pack of those will set you back $2.55 or 32 cents per battery, which is still very cheap. The Family Dollar website says that these are valid for 7 years and also carry the 30-day refund or exchange policy. They are also made in China. The third battery in this group is the eCircuit brand Alkaline. The eCircuit brand is owned by Dollar Tree, the former owners of Family Dollar. So it will be interesting to see how long they last on the shelves at Family Dollar. A 4-pack of these cost $1.75 or 44 cents per battery. The website says valid for 7 years, and they are made in China. So it will be interesting to see how they compare with the Homeline brand and whether you get any more running time for your extra 12 cents per battery. The final battery in this group is the Eveready Gold Alkaline. Eveready is one of the most venerable names in batteries. The company that was to become Eveready was founded way back in 1896. So when the company listed in 2000, it was listed as Energizer Holdings, Inc. Energizer Holdings still uses the Eveready brand to this day, although the Energizer name is far more prominent. A 4-pack of Eveready Gold Alkalines cost $3.85 or 96 cents per battery. The pack says the batteries will last on the shelf for up to 10 years. They also say that they will replace or repair at their option any device damaged by the batteries. The Eveready Gold Alkalines are made in Singapore. Now let's get on to the test results. We weren't expecting a lot from the Homeline Super Heavy Duties at 6 cents per battery, and it turns out that our fears were well-founded. The test was over in a bit over 24 minutes. This is far and away the shortest running time of any batteries that we've tested so far. Next up was the Homeline Alkaline. It followed the discharge curve that we've come to expect, eventually completing the test in a fairly middle-of-the-road 2 hours and 20 minutes. The third battery in this group was the Circuit Alkaline. As we suspected, the Circuit and the Homeline were neck and neck for most of the test, but the Circuit Alkaline did, however, hold out for an extra 7 minutes at the end of the test. So maybe they aren't really the same battery after all. The final battery in this group was the Eveready Gold Alkaline. We had high hopes for this one, given the significantly higher cost per battery. However, the Eveready trailed the previous two for much of the test. It did, however, hold out towards the end for an extra 10 minutes more than the Circuit Alkaline. A useful difference, to be sure, but hardly worth paying double the price. Let's summarize the results of this test group. Looking at the group ranked according to runtime, they came out in price order. The Eveready Gold Alkaline was the longest run in this test at just under 2 hours and 38 minutes. The Circuit Alkaline were around 10 minutes behind at 2 hours and 27 minutes. Behind that was the Homeline Alkaline at 2 hours and 20 minutes. And trailing the field by a long way was the Homeline Super Heavy Duty at a record short 25 minutes. But as we've so often seen with these tests, a different story emerges when you take cost into account to determine the running cost. The Homeline Alkalines are the best performers yet. At a very impressive 14 cents per hour, the incredibly low price of 6 cents per battery compensates adequately for the Homeline Super Heavy Duty's very short running time. Its running cost comes out only a cent per hour behind the much longer-lasting alkalines at 15 cents per hour. Bear in mind, though, that you're going to be going through 5 to 6 times as many of these batteries as you are for most alkalines. So it may be cheap to run, but it's going to create a lot of waste. The next best performance was the Circuit Alkalines at 18 cents per hour. It turns out that the extra 7 minutes of runtime over the Homeline Alkaline wasn't enough to compensate for the extra 12 cents per battery cost. And trailing the field in this group was the Eveready Gold Alkaline. It is over twice as expensive to run as the other batteries in this test group. The slight improvement in running time over the others wasn't enough to offset the cost difference. Before we see how the batteries in this group compared with the other batteries we've tested, you know what's coming. Let's talk about money. Money's too tight to mention. We comparison shop all the batteries that we've tested so far at all the retailers that we've sampled. There are some incredible bargains available at Family Dollar. Firstly, you can buy a 2-pack of Energizer Lithiums at Family Dollar for $3.05. That means you can get 4 for $6.10. That's less than half the price of Home Depot and Walmart. That works out to just over $1.50 per battery. Given that the Energizer Lithiums last for anywhere between twice and 3 times regular alkaline batteries, this is an incredible deal. You should run, not walk, to Family Dollar and grab these while they last. Family Dollar also has a great deal on Energizer Max. You can buy a 6-pack there for $3.50, which is less than the 4-pack price at all the other retailers. That's 58 cents per battery. A great deal for a name brand alkaline. Family Dollar also crushes Amazon on the pricing of the Eveready Gold Alkaline. Their 4-pack price is $3.85 versus the lowest Amazon price of $10.05. It certainly pays to shop around. No individual retailer dominates. From now on, we'll be using the median or mid-price per battery in our analysis. I'd like to talk for a little while about pack size. This graph shows the price per battery for Duracell copper tops for different pack sizes. As you can see, the price gets cheaper the larger the pack size. So you can say that it's not a fair comparison to compare a battery that comes in a much larger minimum pack size, like the AC Delco or HDX, which have a pack size of 24, with the 4-pack of Duracell. A better comparison would be to use the 24-pack of Duracell at about 83 cents per battery to compare with the AC Delco or HDX. But then there are so many different minimum pack sizes. The Vonaco minimum pack size is 12, for example, whereas the Panasonic is 48 and Impeca is 16. Does that mean that we would have to do many different comparisons for each battery based on pack sizes? A similar picture emerges when we look at other widely available batteries. The Energizer Max and the Rayovac High Energy both display similar price trends. We combined all those discount curves and used the 4-pack as our base to come up with a combined discount curve, which you can see in this graph. What it shows is that an 8-pack of batteries would be roughly 85% of the cost on a per battery basis compared with a 4-pack. Likewise, for a 16-pack, you'd expect those to be a bit over 70% of the price of a 4-pack, and so on. We can also use this approach to work backwards. Given the number of batteries in a pack, we can work out what the equivalent price would be for a 4-pack. For statistics nerds, the R-squared of the trend line is over 0.96, which indicates a pretty high degree of correlation between cost per battery and batteries per pack. Where batteries are not available in a 4-pack and are only available in larger pack sizes, we will be using this discount curve to work out what an equivalent 4-pack price would be for that battery. This will make the comparisons fairer across the board. That brings us to our runtime leaderboard. It's fair to say that none of the batteries in this group set the world on fire in terms of runtime. The best on the day was the Eveready Gold Alkaline at 2 hours and 37 minutes, which equals the HDX Alkaline from Home Depot last episode. But it's still well shy of the Eveready stablemate, the Energizer Max, and the other name brand alkaline batteries. The rest of today's group are in the lower half of the runtime table. The Circuit Alkaline came in at 2 hours 27 minutes, the Homeline Alkaline at 2 hours and 20 minutes, and of course we had the ultra-cheap Homeline Super Heavy Duty setting a new record at the bottom of the table. That brings us to the running cost leaderboard. There's a couple of new columns on the table in this episode. We've got the episode-tested brand, model, and pack size as before. And we've also got the median cost per battery, which we talked about in our comparison shopping section. The next column is the pack size discount factor. This is the typical discount observed for that pack size. So, for example, the 2 Homeline batteries at the top of the table were purchased in pack sizes of 8. An 8-pack is typically 84% of the cost of a 4-pack. In other words, a 16% discount. So to make the comparison fair, we add the discount back to the 8-pack cost to give us an equivalent cost for a 4-pack. In the extreme case of the Panasonic Platinum Power, the pack size was a substantial 48 batteries, which worked out to 53 cents per battery. But based on our discount curve, we'd expect a 48-pack to be 54% of the cost per battery as a 4-pack. In other words, a 46% discount. This means that to compare the Panasonic batteries at 53 cents for 48 batteries, we should really be looking at an equivalent cost of 98 cents per battery in a 4-pack. That's going to have a big impact on the running cost per hour calculation. This column looks at the 4-pack cost per battery divided by the running time. Our new running cost champion is the Homeline Alkaline. Although its runtime was nothing spectacular at 2 hours and 20 minutes, this is a very cheap battery at 4-pack cost of 38 cents per battery, giving it the lowest running cost that we've observed so far. A couple of cents per hour more expensive than that is the Homeline Super Heavy Duty. Its record low running time of 25 minutes is more than offset by its record low price per battery to give it a running cost of 18 cents per hour. Tying with that is the third Family Dollar battery at the top of this table, the Circuit Alkaline. It's a little bit more per battery than the Homeline Alkaline, but for that you do get a small increment in runtime, meaning that it ties with the Super Heavy Duty at 18 cents per hour. The champions from previous episodes, the AC Delco, the Great Value, and the HDX, are all respectable choices, although not quite as cheap to run as the Family Dollar batteries. The best of the name brand batteries is the Rayovac High Energy. It posts an excellent run time of just under 3 hours and has a running cost of 35 cents per hour, over double that of the top three. I'd like to give a special shout out to Go Green. Although they are in the middle of the pack when it comes to running cost per hour, they have a free recycling program, which could be a great solution for environmentally conscious consumers who are not close to a recycling point. Finally, I'd like to remind you about the Energizer Ultimate Lithium available from Family Dollar. At the median price of $3.35 per battery, this is relatively expensive to run. But at the super discount Family Dollar price of half that, it makes the Ultimate Lithium pretty economical. Before we wrap up this episode, let's visit the efficient frontier. This chart shows the running time for each battery on the vertical axis and the cost per battery on the horizontal axis. The red markers represent the batteries that have the longest running time at any given price point. At the bottom left-hand corner of the chart, we have our Homeline Super Heavy Duty. It's got the shortest running time, but it's also the cheapest. Next, we have the Homeline Alkaline and the Circuit Alkaline, both in the test group in this episode. Moving on up the curve, we have the AC Delco and the Home Depot home brand HDX. Although the Panasonic is technically on the efficient frontier, you're probably better off paying just a little bit more per battery and getting a significantly longer runtime in the Rayovac High Energy. The Rayovac Fusion is the longest running of the alkaline batteries. Missing from this chart is the Energizer Lithium, which has a runtime of around 6 hours and is also on the efficient frontier. We left it off to make the chart a little bit more legible. That brings us to the end of this episode. We hope you've enjoyed watching it as much as we have making it. Adding Family Dollar to the mix certainly shook things up. We found 3 incredibly economical batteries, as well as some outstanding discounts on Energizer Max and Energizer Lithium batteries. If you've got any questions, comments, or observations, please leave them in the comments below. Also, please feed the algorithm and hit like or subscribe. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode. As always, thanks for watching.